Hello everyone, my name is Ariel Thea. This is going to be my first vlog of 2024, and today I think I'd speak on my reflections on the fact that I have encountered every single zodiac sign. And so today I'm going to be talking about my experiences with every single zodiac sign, both male and female, just to document my experience with them. And maybe we'll notice some patterns, some energetic blueprints. So without further ado, let's get started. So, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. I am an art channel, but I've also delved into my spirituality and my experiences with life as an artist and as a person expanding and experiencing the world. So, first on the zodiac wheel is Aries. I'll start with the women and then I'll go into the men. So, in my experience with Aries women, I have met them as independent and fierce women, very individualistic, focused on their business, focused on their careers. I want to say that the first thing that stands out with an Aries woman is their appearance. They are very well groomed, well maintained, take care of themselves, go to the gym, stay active. They are very inspirational in just embodying the body and the identity. I will say that the worst that I've experienced in my light went out my bad. But I still have daylight, so I'll just continue. The worst that I've experienced when it comes to Aries women is that they can be very harsh. They can be very passive aggressive if they don't have like their um, assertiveness down pat. They can be very belittling to the identity and to other people's individuality. Um, the positive aspects are definitely that they can encourage one to stand up for themselves, speak their truth, speak for their own experiences, and to embody their identity, right? With Aries men, I've noticed that they are very individualistic. They can be a little narcissistic or a lot narcissistic. We know how Aries men are. They can be very aggressive and have anger issues, or if they have like their emotional selves really well balanced, they can just be very clear and direct communicators. My Saturn is in Aries, so I've noticed that for me, as someone who's non binary, I've utilized both the feminine and the masculine aspects of Aries to make me more disciplined in my work, make me show up and embody my individuality and my identity versus allowing other people or my community to, dictate what I believe and what I want for myself. Next, moving on to Taurus. Taurus women, I was raised by them. So I feel like I've definitely grown to see the intimate side of an Aries woman or a Taurus woman. I feel like Taurus women are very naturalistic. Like the Taurus women that I've been around, they are very tuned in with what they're feeding themselves, what they're putting on their bodies, how they're tapping into their senses. So it's very inspiring for me as someone who has a Taurus placement. It allows me to understand that I need to tap into this world and this spirituality, this experience through my five senses, and also transcending into the intangible senses like that of like psychic energy and spirituality. Taurus women are very stubborn, they're very set in their ways. They have like a detrimental aspect to that to where they won't change because they truly believe they know what's best for them. Even when their environment can show them different ways of being, they will still cling to what they know and what they're familiar with. Taurus men that I've experienced, they're very Venetian, like they take care of themselves, they're very well groomed. They can have issues surrounding their femininity and their ability to be feminine, so they'll either be like hyper masculine, toxic masculine, or if they do tap into their femininity, they can just be a very well balanced energy. Taurus men that I've experienced are very workaholic. They inspire me to stay focused on my work and to not deviate from my work. But I've also noticed that there can be a sense of like tunnel vision where they only focus on their work, don't focus on the other aspects of their identity that can really help them find fulfillment and wholeness. I will say the negative aspect kind of affects both Taurus women and men, where their stubbornness to only believe their perspective can really blind them and really keep them trapped in like this labyrinth of beliefs and ideologies, even when it no longer serves them. Moving on to Gemini women, the Gemini women that I've met have been really brilliant. They are just amazing artists, amazing scholars, have the coolest knack for picking up different hobbies. Like, I'm very close with a Gemini woman who I met in San Francisco, and she goes from talking about art to talking about spirituality to baking cakes to making her own wines to making her own kombuchas. So, very inspiring, very versatile. I will say that Gemini woman is very flighty though, because there's just a million things they want to do, and oftentimes like your connection to them won't take priority. And that's kind of similar to a Gemini man. Being a Gemini man, I can definitely attest to the fact that like we have a million interests, and honestly those interests are way more fascinating than the people that we're around. So we won't really focus on like diving deep into connections with people just because we know that people are temporary. Life is a temporary experience. So we just feel like, why invest in these people when we can invest in ourselves and our knowledge and our growth and expansion? Gemini men that I've met have been very interesting in the sense that they are brilliant, like myself. They have a variety of interests. I will say that I've noticed with Gemini men, they have a tendency to mimic and copy to the point that it's like, well, who are you if you're just kind of copying my interests and my hobbies? So I've noticed that with Gemini men. Gemini men are very beautiful to look at. They are very stunning. I think of Johnny Depp. I think of just Tupac, just like really beautiful, brilliant men. I think they can be very intellectual at times, and this is me as well. Like, I can be very intellectual to the point where the emotional realm is neglected or kind of skimmed over. Like, we tend to rationalize and intellectualize a lot, and that can lead us to kind of skipping over the deeper aspects of life because we do want to be in variety. We want to be in so much at the same time, especially because, speaking from my experience, like there's so much of the world that we will never know because we don't have the time to. So we truly just want to like dip our fingers in all the pies versus really like sitting down with one pie and just really tasting it and experiencing it. Moving on to Cancer women that I've met are very dedicated. They're very invested emotionally, whether that's to their lovers, to their friends, their community, their cause, what have you. They are very deep lovers, to the point that I've witnessed like Cancer women will be in relationships that no longer serve them, but because they have that like clinging to the past and the potential they knew of that person, they will stay in that relationship or they will stay in that habit or that mode of being because that's what they've known, that's their history. Cancer men that I've met, honestly, like they have been very fun to talk to in the sense that like we connect over the interest in like the supernatural, the underworld, things that, modern men probably don't focus too much on. The Cancer men that I've met have been very focused on like death and the underworld and the psyche and the darker aspects of human behavior, which I truly love. I will say that Cancer men are like, in just my talkings with them, like they have the worst luck with love. They have just the ability to attract tons of partners and attract a variety of different partners, but they can't make them stay, or they have like emotional problems to where they, are either flighty or too invested or emotionally manipulative. It's a whole array. Cancer women and men, I think that they have this really good act of tapping into the heart of things, understanding like the root and the deeper aspect of things. But I believe that they can also be too deep in situations where they should be a bit more superficial and come up to like, get some air, get some space. Clinginess is kind of what I associate with cancers. And it's like their inability to let go that really hurts them in the end. Leos. Leo women that I've met, I do believe that they are very loyal and very passionate. They want to be liked and they want to like everyone, but I think that I've noticed that creates a lot of people pleasing behaviors and a lot of just in my connection with them, it reflects how we will people please to a detriment of our own identity and our own passions and what our heart wants, because we can be clouded by the approval or validation of others. Leo women that I've met have both like the good aspect of knowing exactly what people want and can deliver that, but they can also be manipulative to the point where they will do anything as long as it truly serves them. And they can be quite selfish in this way, where they only really care about what serves them and they will speak what you want to hear versus what is like truly needed in that situation. Leo men that I've met, they have been very beautiful to look at, very confident. They are very self assured, very self centered. They can be narcissistic, as I've noticed, just because they know that they're beautiful. They can be very creative, and I feel like they either put that creativity and that brightness into others and into their community and uplifting their community, or they can just focus that on their career, their creativity, whatever that is. And I mean, I think it works as long as their heart is happy, but they can become very grouchy if they are like in situations, in relationships where they just are not serving like their higher purpose and their heart's purpose. Next is Virgo. Virgo women I've met, and it's funny because Virgos are known as like the virgins, but Virgo women that I've met love to have sex. They are very promiscuous. They are very like slutty. It's very interesting because they have this like very grounded aspect to their personality that makes them very attractive to the opposite sex and to the same sex, but they can also use that to be very promiscuous and wild. Virgo women that I've met are also very critical. I've had Virgo women just be very hypercritical, but it's interesting because they are very hypercritical, and that reflects how they are hypercritical with themselves. And it's just interesting that when you do get criticized by a Virgo, it's interesting how like they will criticize you and read you down, but if they look at their own lives, it's like they have so much to work on, but they would rather read other people. It's like a form of personal escapism. Virgo men that I've met, I'm trying not to like be clouded by the already made assumptions about these like signs. Like I know that there's just like a natural hatred in the zodiac community against like Pisces men, Taurus men, Aries men, but I'm using my personal experiences to discuss these signs. With Virgo men that I've met, they are very well put together. They are very stylish, like they know their body and they know how to take care of themselves, they know how to style themselves. I think that there is a form of like insanity, and I think of that movie like Psycho, where it's definitely giving Virgo man, where he's so meticulated and so like well thought out that it's kind of insane. Like he does have like a minute by minute routine, and it's interesting, but it's also a little scary. Like, how can one human be so organized to the point that it does give like insane? But in my connection with them, I feel like they've taught me like, life is kind of insanity. You're doing things in cycles and in loops. You might as well take control of that and essentially choose your insanity of like doing your daily routine of yoga, doing your daily routine of like skincare versus just kind of letting insanity or chaos like take over. So that's my appreciation for Virgos. They can be very hypercritical, but I think that they're more critical on themselves, so I don't take it to heart. My Virgo placement definitely has done that, just like hyper focusing on those around me and kind of picking away at them when there's like deeper work that I had to do with myself. Next is Libra. Libra women have been super fun and flirty and social to me. They are the first ones to give a compliment, the first ones to be that pretty person, pretty girl who is giving a compliment, which is very endearing. I've also noticed that Libra women can be very two-faced and very, gossipy, and they can definitely be manipulative in the sense that they are not assertive, but they do things passive aggressively. Like they will kind of use social control and social manipulation to get what they want versus being that assertive, direct person that gets what they want. Libra men, I haven't had the best experience with them. I feel like overall the word that comes to mind is spineless. Like they will adopt the mindset, adopt the agreed upon belief by the community without really thinking for themselves. And I think that to me, as someone who's very like, I'm going to think for myself, I don't care what my community says, like I care to a point where it's information, but I won't let it control my behavior and identity. And so I think that's where I've seen Libras and just been like, ill, like you don't think for yourself, like you're just spineless. You don't have a backbone. Like, where is your identity? My most recent experience with a Libra man, we had great mental connection. We had great like intellectual rapport. But I think in terms of just seeing how they behaved outside of their words, their action was very lacking, and there was no follow through. And that just made me observe and be thankful for Libra energy though, because it showed me like this is how I don't want to be, so I'm not going to be this way. Um, Next is Scorpio. Scorpio women have probably been the most powerful influence in my life. Scorpio women just understand that this world is darker. They understand this world is manipulative. So they are the first ones to take that power back and really take, control of a situation, control of the narrative, not allow other people to manipulate their narrative, and really reclaim their power. Scorpio women give me the most inspiration when it comes to like individual expression, the way they style themselves, the way they carry out their lifestyle. They are very fixed to the point where they have been doing this for years, will continue to do this for years, and no one or nothing can stop them or change their mind. I do believe their stubbornness, though, has definitely held them back. So there are just points where I see like, okay, like, you do, I'm grateful to be a mutable sign because it shows me where like I can be fixed in my ways. I can be focused on like what I value, but I also need to have a little bit of bend and understand that there's so much new information out there. You can always adopt something new and stay kind of eclectic versus staying so fixed in, what you believe to be the right way. Scorpio men that I've met have been very entrepreneurial. They are very focused on their careers as well. I think they're more focused on the fact that, like, they have also seen darkness and also see that this world is not all sunshine and rainbows. And they also understand the power that they hold as men. So they have been kind of like the first ones to show me, like, wow, this is what abuse of power looks like, or maybe if they're not tapped into their power, this is what the negligence of power looks like, and personal responsibility and personal accountability. So I think Scorpio men that I've met, they've been DJs, they've been drag queens, and they are definitely going to do what they want, but there is just also that inflexibility where like you guys can stop doing certain actions or behaviors, but you choose not to because that's what you're familiar with. It's what you've decorated your persona to be. Um, so that's very interesting. Next is Sagittarius. Sagittarian women have been interesting because they are full of life, very animated, very expressive. I think they're very funny. I think that they can also be very mean though and very blunt, and they know that a lot of this world is a spiritual experience, so they kind of take their power back and know exactly what to say to people to hurt them or to kind of target like their vulnerabilities or weak points. So I think that's where I just had to realize like, well, you can also do this and not, be a victim to the world and instead take your power back and embrace the truth of the situation, embrace just the bluntness of like, what reality is, you won't be swayed. Sagittarius men that I've met, they are such wild people in the sense that like they are very promiscuous as well. Honestly, some of my hookups have been Sagittarian, and it makes so much sense because like you can just tell that they get around and are exploring the world around them and are having fun doing so. But I think that can also lead to a very flighty and like superficial character. I think the Sagittarian men that I've met, usually they're very large and usually they have like just this desire for more. And that can kind of showcase in the fact that like they drink too much, they eat too much, have too much sex, just all of these things that are too much. And they're ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion. So it makes sense. But I think, if anything, Sagittarian women and men have shown me like less is more. More might be more, but also less is more. Oh, I have a beautiful like sun coming into the window. Next is going to be the Capricorn women. Capricorn women that I've met are so dry. Like they have been like little business women from the moment they were children. And I think their like path is to find the fun in life, find the joy, find the inner child that just wants to have fun and it doesn't really need to be all business all the time. But I my first move was supported by a Capricorn woman. I think I helped her with my Cancer placements kind of tap into like her emotional realm that is definitely buried underneath that like practical business mindset. I think that they are very lovable and endearing, but you definitely need to put in the work and know them for years for them to start to let you in. And I think that's kind of reflective of all earth signs. Earth signs like take such a long time. They need time to settle. They need practical consistency to see that something is worth investing in. Um, with Capricorn men that I've met, honestly, I haven't had a good experience. They are kind of ruled by Saturn, and they are, I think in tarot, their archetype is the devil. So it's so funny because people hate on Capricorn men. And in my experience, like rightfully so, like they are just so like selfish and materialistic and status obsessed. I did live with a Capricorn man and he was very, practical. His daily routine consisted of work, maybe a little bit of music with some smoking, but more so he was just work focused. He also was not big on friends, which to me, as someone who's always been focused on like friendships and cultivating community, like it was very jarring for me to see an elder because he was very older than me. He was like 60. And shout out to Asha, I love him. He is out in San Francisco living his best life. But he showed me that, people truly want to take from you. They want to take your money, your energy, your power, and he put that all in himself. He stopped investing in other people, invested in himself, his cat, and maybe one or two friends. When he let me into his life, like it was a very slow and steady process. But by the time that I had moved out and moved out of San Francisco, I knew that I had created a friend for life that I can reach out to and talk to. And he is definitely more trustworthy than other people that I've met. But then I've also had experiences with awful Capricorn men where it's like, wow, like it's not even the choice of like you want to be single, it's like you will be single because I don't know how people can tolerate you. Capricorn men, I think, inspire me to be very business focused, be very focused on the investment I make with myself, and what I invest in will reflect like what I turn into. And I don't want that to be into like connections that are flighty or superficial. I would love them to be with really like long time honoring connections, loving friendships. And I know I'll build that, but I have to be very discerning and kind of bitchy like Capricorns just to make sure I don't let the wrong people in and, the people that will show themselves to be cool in the beginning and then just be awful in the end. So I've learned that to heal like my connection with society through Capricorn. So I'm grateful for that. Aquarius. Aquarius women are very brainy. They all look like little aliens. They always have like curly hair that kind of looks like a brain. It's very interesting. Aquarius women that I've met are also very individualistic. They are very liberated from the chains of relationships, the chains of the old way of doing things where like a woman has to be tied to a man. Most of the queer relationships that I've built with women have been with Aquarius women. They are very much a breath of fresh air, but they can also be so individualistic to the point that like no one can ever really get close to them because they would rather invest the rest of their life into themselves and not really invest in other people, which I respect. It's just hard when you want to be friends and close to someone and they're like, no, like I don't want to hang out today. I'd rather be in my room for like 20 hours. I get it, but it's just annoying when you want to hang out with people. Aquarius men that I've met, very interesting because they are very masculine and very rigid and focus on like what they believe to be true, but they also have that desire to be rebellious, to break the mold, even from the life that they've created for themselves. They naturally have this like rebellion within them that wants to explore new ideas, explore new ways of being. That's very interesting. Aquarius men that I've met are very focused on their growth in their intelligence, in their wisdom of their body, in their wisdom of their life experiences. And that is very endearing, very stimulating to my brain. And as someone who wants mental connection, Aquarius men have been like the first ones that I'm like, wow, I would love to date you and be in relationship with you, but it would never work. We're both too independent. We're both too focused on ourselves. Um, but that's just my experience with Aquarius, and I don't know how it'll change. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to in life is just seeing how like this is what I've known so far with these zodiac signs, but they're always going to give me more information every time I get to know someone and I get to know their sign or their placement. It's like, I'm adding it to the encyclopedia of the zodiac and my knowledge of the zodiac. And last and no, I was gonna say last and least, but no, I just think they get a bad rep because Pisces being the last sign, they encapsulate everything. And Pisces women have been the first ones who have been cruel to me, who have just said the most outlandish shit. But it's interesting because they're like puppies, where like they will like destroy your couch, and you just look at them and they're just so cute. But I think I've also learned that with Pisces, like they're very manipulative in that way, where they know they can say really awful things to you and they'll get away with it. And they know they'll get away with it because they are so lovable and cute. My old manager was a short, short Pisces woman, like 5 foot. And she was so cute when I first met her, and she had this like look in her eyes that just is like a puppy dog. But she was legit the most awful person like I've met. Like literally just talks everyone down. Really just cannot see other people's perspective. Is very like the antithesis of empathy, which is interesting because you'd think that they would encompass and support all. But I also think that in certain people's experiences, they see so much shit that they just don't have any capacity to be empathetic. And I get that, like as someone who's worn my heart on my sleeve, been very open hearted and minded, you really see quickly how awful the world can be to that and how they can use you as like a doormat. But then you learn to develop thicker skin, say the cruel shit that is needed to be said, and stand up for yourself. So shout out to Pisces women. Pisces men that I've met, I've dated Pisces men. My ex was one. Um, and he cheated on me. So, like, he kind of just showed me from the get go that, like, love might be what brings us together, but it'll also tear us apart. This was back when I was living in my hometown. And he just was so, like, he wanted everything in the world to the point that it's like, okay, well, if you want everything, you can't just have me. Other Pisces men that I've met, they're so artistic and so beautiful. One that I met in San Francisco was like getting into making breads, and I think that's so whimsical and fun. He decorated his space to be so artsy and creative and really just like a vibe. Like Pisces men, they know vibes and they know aesthetics, and they're very feminine in that way. I've also met a lot of Pisces men who want to transition to be women. So it's almost like they have that like desire for femininity and that takes them into a point of transition. So I feel like there's also this funny like saying where like no Pisces man is really a man, like they're all just women waiting to transition. Which, as a trans person, I love that. I would fully support my Pisces men transitioning, especially if it means that they're gonna be less awful because they'll find like acceptance and happiness within themselves. Well, yeah, that is a cute 30-minute video on my experiences with all the zodiacs. I kind of blazed through this just because I have more reading to do with my schoolwork. I'm reading on witchcraft, so it's a very an interesting read, but I wanted to take a break from like 30 something pages I was reading just to really make this video, start off 2024 right with a cute vlog. And also, this has just allowed me to release all of the ideas that I have around the different zodiac signs. And, you know, it definitely gives me more space to. Sorry, I'm trying to get the light without. Yeah, okay, there it is. It gives me space to just develop more ideas, understand more experiences with the different zodiac signs and placements. I think also being in this new era where I'm so focused and invested in myself, I'm reconnecting to my zodiac charts, reconnecting to my soul path, having it kind of guide me to the more intuitive and a more um, the underworld of my life versus being so practical and rigid in like the routine of my day-to-day life, which now being a lifeguard, like I am up at 4 a.m. and I work until like 1 p.m. workout, and then I come home and like I do my like daily routine stuff, and then I'm in bed by 7 p.m. So on my Sundays I'm free. So I think going forward, Sundays will be my new video upload day. I'm going to be consistent with it. If it's not consistently on a Sunday, it will be consistently every week. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this video and share your experience with the different zodiac signs and the different genders of those placements and expressions, because I feel like the energy is kind of similar. Like, you know, you see stubbornness with male and female Tauruses, but I think the way that they express that stubbornness is just a little bit different. So share below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. And thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.